right, well, greetings, everybody. Welcome once again to the Rec Poker Podcast. You are not listening to our normal intro. This is the great Tommy Angelo leading us in on harmonica. We are sponsored, as always, by Running Aces Racetrack, Casino, and Hotel, and website Camp. And in this cast edition of the podcast, we are going to hang out with Tommy Angelo, harmonica player, coach, author of a few books. We're going to talk about that. He's got some YouTube stuff going on. It's going to be fantastic. So, Tommy, we're going to have you kind of bring it down. I don't even know if I can hear us. He's just take it away.
When did you guys get here?
When did we get here? Oh my God! Fantastic. Tommy Angelo on harmonica. We're going to bring him in here in just a second. Let's introduce the panel. My name is Steve Fredland. I go by Rec Poker Steve in the Poker Stars home game. And I actually have a quote from Tommy Angelo from Painless Poker. He said, "The game is forever changing, but the pain remains the same."
And I'm Chris Jones. I'm 5x5 on Poker Stars and Twitter, and I'm pretty speechless after that intro.
Yeah, I'm Jim Reed, Bluffsterini in the home game, and Hold'em _ Steelers on Twitter, and I just want to soak this all in. That one left me speechless. I love it.
Well, I'm John Somsky, and I guess I won't be speechless this time. I got a quote from Scotty Wynn. "You call, gonna be all over, baby."
Oh, nice.
Love it. All right, we're gonna jump right in here with Tommy in a second here, but just real quick, as you guys know, the second half of the episode, we focus on things going on in the Rec Poker community. So I'm just gonna tease a couple of things. Our Learn Pro Poker partnership is live. We are super excited about that. We'll talk a little bit more about that at the second half of the show. The book study book has been decided and starts this week. As you're listening to this, it's going to be starting this week. So if you want to participate in that, you can jump in any time. But if you want to jump in at the beginning, it's this week. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. And Marek Madness is underway. Thursday nights on Twitch, live commentary. We're doing the heads up bracket. When you're listening to this, the first round will have been decided and we're down to the final four. So we'll talk more about that. But let's bring him in. Tommy Angelo, welcome to Rec Poker.
Thank you. Glad to be back. Hi, guys.
It's always fun to see you, man. It's so great. So, all right, the harmonica now, is that just sort of been a lifelong thing, or is this a new?
No, I took up harmonica the summer of 2017. I just I've loved it forever, but I broke my arm, and I heard that harmonica was basically a left-handed instrument. You hold it in the left hand, and then you move like that. And I was like, well, hell, I can learn this thing left-handed. And so I've been playing every day for 4 years. Haven't skipped a day.
Is that right? Are you like taking lessons, or you kind of yourself?
No, from YouTube.
Okay.
So because I play a number of other instruments, I can educate myself and come up with my own exercises and stuff, and just like narrow down on exactly what I want to learn. So yeah, it's been really, really fun.
That's pretty fun, man. Always learning something new. Always learning, right? Always growing. Always expanding, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, let's talk about. We can kind of leave it up to you. I know you're involved in a few new things that I want to touch base on, but maybe let's just start with your perspective on what have you been up to? What sort of front of mind that you can update Rec Poker Nation on the life of Tommy Angelo here?
Okay. Well, basically, ever since I was about 8.
Takes a deep breath.
Yeah. Here's my life story. I've been making something or other, books, music, whatever, kind of my whole life. I started recording music when I was 8. My mom brought home a little Wallensack recorder from school. So I thought I was going to be writing books for a long, long time. And so I started writing articles, and I've been writing poker articles for 20 years. I've been writing books for 12 years. And then I stopped like 2 or 3 years ago when Lee Jones came along with this idea to do the Poker Simple videos. Yeah. Okay. And then I started getting into movie making, which does involve sound editing too. And, I'm an audio engineer, but that's just been where all my creative energy is going right now, into making movies and writing tweets. I'm actually working a little bit harder on, the actual wording of tweets and stuff. But in terms of what I'm doing creatively, it's all about making movies right now. That's what I'm doing. So my current project is called PokerWords.
Yeah.
It hasn't even been searched enough to even get rating high on the searching, but if you go to my website, tommyangelo.com, scroll down just a teeny bit, the homepage, that's really the best way to find it. Click on one of those videos, that'll take you to YouTube. Then you'll be at my channel. And the name of the channel is Tommy Angelo. That's the name of the YouTube channel. So I strongly encourage anybody to, that's ever liked any of my stuff ever, to check out these videos, because I'm having a blast putting them together, and it's just a whole new outlet for me.
Yeah, it's so much fun. I mean, so I was out there, I was, in part of my research, but I was like, man, I kind of went down the rabbit hole of watching your videos. They're pretty fun out there. And I know right now for PokerWords, it looks like you're in the middle of, you kind of got 2 out of 3 pieces done in the one series that you're doing on position. And I want to talk a little bit about that and maybe tease that a little bit and get people going out there to watch this. So the first one, you talk about this act last percentage. And I was kind of fascinated as a numbers junkie, as a math guy, but yet looking to make poker simple. I was
Right.
by this, because I never really thought about it like as a numeric thing. I just know, boy, you really want to be acting last. You want position. Talk a little bit about the concept of this act last percentage.
Sure. Basically, if you're a poker player who believes that the person acting last has an advantage, okay, then, and if you were to like look at all the streets you play, we'll just go post flop. If you could somehow do a hand history analysis of all the hands you've ever played and look at like how often do you act last compared to your opponents. Well, let's say that you're average. Let's say that you and all your people you play with all act last exactly the same amount of time on average. Well, then you have no positional advantage whatsoever, okay? Now, in the early days, it was kind of a secret that, hey, if you play fewer hands out of position, that's better, right? You play more hands in position, fewer hands out of position. We all learned that. And we learn, position's a good thing. But for some reason, we don't really go to the next level, which is what if acting last were the object of the game? What if acting last is really such a great thing? What if it were the top of your mindset? I was like, hey, I want to act last more than they do by a large margin. Okay. So now I've been applying this philosophy to my game for 20 years, and I've been coaching it for almost that long. And so as a result of coaching it a whole bunch and teaching it a bunch of different ways, that's how this, and writing about it so many times, that's how this whole, I came up with a label for it, act last percentage. What percentage of the hands do you act last on? Okay. And now, even if you don't do the calculation, it's the concept that matters.
Right.
So here's where it really matters. And this ties into reciprocality, which is you have to do something different than they do, or else you're tied, right? So let's just say that you're playing ranges from the blinds that are, we'll just say normal, whatever that means, somewhere in the, 30 to 35, 40 VPIP range. That's counting all your squeezes and everything, right? And everybody else was playing that too. Well, what if all of a sudden you dropped your VPIP from the blinds down to say 20%? Okay. Now you could look at, say, well, the hands that I'm going to fold are going to be the marginal hands, right? So you're not necessarily losing much money there, if at all. But then look what that does to your act last percentage. Just by doing that and doing nothing more but fold from the blinds more, that's going to automatically increase the number of streets you act last in your life by some amount, okay? So I've been applying this philosophy for a long, long time, and I estimate my act last percentage to be 75 to 80%, which is, to me, almost, it's borderline unfair.
Do you know,
I really,
do you
pardon
know
me?
kind of context wise, like what the average might be, or do you hypothesize around what, like?
Well, I'm guessing the average is 50%.
Okay.
In other words, it's going to be, well, I mean, it's going to be, see that I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be
I guess
50%.
there's sort of there has to be, in a sense, if it's at least in heads up play or whatever, but generally you're on 50%. Okay.
Well, it's going to balance out to zero. If you looked at every single player, it's going to come out to, an average. So the actual act last percentage is less important than the concept of adjusting your play. So I'll give you an example. Let's say that one guy opens under the gun and you limp and you call him. So you're playing 2-5, a guy opens for 20, you call 20, and a guy behind you who's a tough, solid player, 3 bets. Okay. it comes back around and I've got 6-7 suited, and let's say the stacks are deep. I'm going to fold here, even if this guy calls, because I'm not going to be acting last. I have a nice drawing hand, but it's no good in front of the 3-better, right? I'm going to be check folding most of the time. If I hit, he's going to know it because he's exposed his range. However, if I'm behind that 3-better and the stacks are, say, 200 big blinds, I'm absolutely going to play that hand, right? So there's a case where just the fact that I'm not going to be acting last on the Turner River, it's unlikely, is the reason I fold. Now, you could come up with other reasons for folding, but that's my reason. Okay.
Yeah. No, I love it. My mind is spinning. I'm already like figuring out, okay, how can I actually mathematize this and figure out like what is the advantage of that? I mean, have you done any sort of? I totally agree with the concept. I love it. I'm a big position guy because I hate playing out of position, partially because you have less information, partially because when you do hit, it's harder to extract value. All the things that you're talking about.
Right.
Have you done any work? Have you found anybody to do any work as far as figuring out like what EV potential change there is as a result of doing that?
Well, with clients, yes, by having so many of them report. So if when I'm coaching a low stakes player who's not terribly sophisticated, I just give them, and they say to me, you just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Because some client people are like that. And I just give them hands, like an opening chart for everything up to the hijack, under the gun, +1, 2, 3, 4. And I give them this opening range chart that is like basically an 8% range or something like that. And I tell them, okay, do this for 2 weeks, right? If you can. And then I give them a blinds, like defending the blinds chart. That's like same thing, like 20% maybe defending from the big blind. Even in limp pots, like the third of the videos I'm making is called folding the small blind in limp pots. And to me, that video is like my manifesto. Even though it's about a very specific thing, all of that I'm saying here about position is in there. Because if you believe in this concept, what that means is when 5 people limp and it only costs you $1 to call in a 1-2 game, you're going to look at that Jack 6 suited and you're going to muck it. And everybody in the world plays it, right? And that's what I'm talking about, is saying no to that first position because you're in first position, because it's just all bad. So I look at everything as an experiment. And so I can say to clients, go try this and tell me what you feel, what it feels like. So you're asking, like, do I have any reports on EV? I have reports of people coming back to saying, this changed my life. I'm finally not afraid. I can't wait to play poker now. This is I've heard that so many times that I was like, okay, I guess this is worth publishing.
I love it. I love the concept of it. I think it starts to put some meat on that bone of I want to play more in position. And that's a great way to track it. I'm kind of curious if you've done this, or maybe a little bit of a tangent here, but I know Jim is like a PT4 guru. Is this sort of stuff for people that are out there? I know we have a lot of people in rec poker that have just started playing more online. Many of them have just started getting poker trackers so they can kind of look at their results. Is this something that people could look at in their own personal database? Is it, is that accessible pretty easily for people? I know it's maybe not a given stat in there, but is it pretty easy to find out like what percentage of hands you're playing in position versus out of position?
I don't know. I know what Poker Tracker is and I've touched it occasionally, but I don't really understand it.
Jim or Chris?
Yeah, you can look at it a few different ways. And one thing that's clear is that the money flows from out of position to in position. So that, and you can kind of drill down a little deeper and see how quickly it flows in certain circumstances, but that's definitely true. That's definitely true.
Because I'm just kind of curious, because it feels like it's one of those things like bowling average, right? You ask people what their average is in bowling and they'd say, oh, I'm 160. And then they actually keep track of it for a year and it's like, oh, it's 110. It feels like this might be the kind of thing where we're all kind of fooling ourselves to think, oh yeah, I'm playing 70% of pots in position, but what does the number actually say?
Well, I am like you, where I like to have, whether it's poker or whatever else, some kind of data supporting my decision first. But ultimately, I'm going to make my decision after I apply whatever the heck it is.
Right.
And so I don't think, especially somebody who's struggling, right, with their results, and is willing to try new things, this is certainly worth a shot. The thing I say is like, you're not going to go broke folding shitty hands in first position. That's not going to be what makes you go broke. Okay.
Yeah, I love it. I think it just could be one of those things where people that are data people just say, all right, well, go look at it. Go look at your stats and just kind of see where you're
And how
at
does it
and maybe
feel?
adjust it and then see what happens to your results. I love that. The second video, so I'm really curious about that. The second video, and these are all about position, that you have out there is folding to 3-bets from behind. And you kind of touched on this a little bit, but maybe elaborate a little bit on what you're getting at with that video.
Okay. First of all, let me just tell you a little bit about these 3 videos. Okay, so most of the videos I'm going to be making after this are going to be a little more free form, just me vamping on stuff. Okay, these 3 videos are actually based on works I've already written. So they're a little scripted, and that's why they're so tight. Okay, why the material's so tight. Okay, so this and so the 3 of them together, I'm calling a series called On Position. Right. So now folding to 3-bets. Okay, so basically there's 2 specific spots. This is almost word for word from the video where I've taken the guesswork out of folding. Okay, and basically it's the drift here is this concept called showdown hand. Okay, and this is something that was in Elements of Poker, and it's been, kicked around a lot by me and Alex and Matt Flynn in our early days. And the whole idea is if you start with an ace or a pocket pair, right, and especially if you're against somebody that bluffs a lot, all the way back before the flop that you can call his ass down on the river if you want to. Every time.
You always have some showdown value, right? Again,
right.
Yep.
Right. And so that concept, which was huge at limit poker and no limit, right? Tied together with this, how bad it is to be out of position with, like the example I give in the video is like you got 9-8 suited, typical hand where we'd like to play it. So we're out of position in this hand, and we were aggressive or whatever. We're throwing some chips in there, and then all of a sudden it comes down the river. If you end up with nothing, okay, only one of 2 things can happen. You're either just going to check fold, or you have to flail a bluff out there on the river, which these days is a little harder to get away with, right? Especially if the story doesn't add up perfectly. But if you have an ace, you check. Anytime they check behind, you're always a contender. And anytime they bet, you have the option to pick off a bluff. Okay. So what I do with the 3-bet pots out of position is I fold all hands except showdown hands, which is approximately 22% range or something, 20% range. Aces, any hand with an ace, and any pocket pair.
And you're talking about suited and unsuited when I look at the chart, right? It's
right.
This is about showdown value. So if ace high is a showdown value, it doesn't matter if it's, ace 3 suited or ace 7 offsuit, it's ace high.
Right. If you're going to call a big bet on the river, it doesn't much matter if you have ace king or ace deuce.
Right.
Right. You're not calling on the river to try to beat ace queen, although that can't happen, but you know what I'm saying.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. So now, so the idea there is, so if now one of the things that makes this make a little more sense is that my general range is already tight to start with. So I'm not one of these people who's in there opening a lot with 9-8 in the first place, in earlier middle position, right? So I don't get in these spots very often where I just have to fold to the 3-bet. But let's say I'm in the cutoff with Jack 10 suited, and I raise, I open playing 2-5, I make a 20, and the button makes it 70 behind me. Okay, and it comes back around. I'm folding 100% of the time here. I don't care if it's the worst player in the world, the loosest player in the world. It just doesn't matter. I'm not playing 3-bet pots out of position without a showdown hand. That's it. So I started doing that 15 years ago, 10 years ago. And it's just, man, it's just so easy. So one of the things I like about it is it takes the guesswork out. You're not in these, like, what do I do now?
That's what I've loved about your stuff. I haven't read all your stuff, but I've read a little bit and I've seen a lot of your stuff. And like, you do have this way, and part of it's your personality. I smile every time I see one of your tweets or whatever, just because I've now had a chance to talk to you, but you're just like, just fold. Like, I love when you do things like that, where you're just like, when somebody 3-bets you from position, just fold. Like, it's not hard. Like, just fold.
Right. Right.
And I'm like, yeah, but it's Jack 10 suited, and what if I flop really big?
Right.
You're like,
One of the standard
it's
objections
not
that
that complicated.
no, one of the standard objections is, oh, if I fold there, I'll get exploited later. Okay, well, I've got like 8 ways to debunk that. One of them is I've been exploited my whole life as a poker player, and my win rate at no limit hold'em has not changed in 20 years. Okay, so yeah, everybody exploits everybody. You can now out exploit them. So let's say you open from the cutoff, a guy 3-bets and you fold, and an hour later you open from the cutoff and a guy 3-bets and you fold.
Yeah.
Now you're in a position to exploit that. Doesn't
Right.
matter how. Somehow, some way, you can take advantage of that pattern if
Yeah.
you're a good poker player. That's
Yep.
all.
Love it. It's all about adjusting, right? Nash equilibriums get
Yeah.
there not overnight.
Yeah.
They get there this way, that way, this way, that way. So where
Yeah.
we start pushing when they're pulling. I,
Right.
I love it so much. So the third video, I don't know when you're planning on releasing that one, but what's the third video in the series? And remind me.
Okay, it's called Folding the Small Blind in Limp Pots.
That's right. Yep.
And it's going to be like 10 minutes, which is like enormously long for these videos. And it'll be out April 1st. I'm releasing a new video on the 1st of the
Okay.
month, every month.
And that's a pretty simple, just fold, right? Just fold.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
People will think it's an April Fool's joke, but
I know.
it's actually that's a good one.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's a 6-way limped pot, and I have Jack 9. Just fold. They're like, okay, April Fools, ha ha ha.
Right.
Very funny, Tommy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Hey, well, so I want to shift gears a little bit. There's so many things that we can talk about. We should have you on like every month, just then I won't feel like I have to ask you so many things, but that's just not how this works. But one thing you did mention, and I know Jim's he's a kid in a candy store over this, and you did some live commentary, and
Yeah.
you said, I loved it. So tell us a little bit about your experience and how'd you get that opportunity and what'd you love
Yeah.
about it?
Well, Zach Resnick, formerly of Just Hands Poker with Jack Lasky,
Mhm.
those two have been friends since forever, and we all became friends when I was on their show like 4 years ago, a couple times. And Zach came out here. He's a musician, plays lots of instruments. He lived here in Berkeley for 3 years. We were jamming, having a blast. He just moved to Austin, Texas. So he's a business entrepreneur, and he runs a poker game with all business people, right?
Okay.
So he talked to the people at Texas Card House in Austin, and they already had a live streaming game. Well, a lot of people watch it, okay? And he asked them if he could host a game and live stream it. And so he did, and we put this thing together I was just on board, called Poker Unicorns. So far, there's been one broadcast, like a month or two ago, okay? So if you go to THC Live is the name of the YouTube channel, okay? And maybe you can put a link up that I sent you to the thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, he invited me to do the commentary. And then we had another friend of ours, Alex Rosenberg, who's a business guy, and I'd written an article for like CNBC about poker and trading and all this. So we both knew him. And so Alex and I did the commentary for this game. Now, I'd never done this before, so I'm a fanatical researcher. I just went and watched a bunch of Gabe Kaplan and watched all the best people and talked to people about what makes good commentators, what makes bad commentators. And I mean, I was still kind of a nervous wreck and had some struggles, but it was my first time. But overall, it went pretty well. Okay. And I don't know if I'm going to be doing any more with them. We really don't know what the future of that whole situation is. It's kind of a wait and see. But I would definitely welcome the opportunity to do it again.
Well, we're doing this Marek Madness. It's like March Madness, but for recreational poker players. So Marek Madness, where we're doing like this heads up bracket, and some of the guys here on the panel and some of the other core team members are playing. And we're all kind of taking turns commentating in the booth. So I've got a special guest that I'm lining up for March 18th who's going to join me. And then I have a very special guest on March 25th. Ryan LaPlante is going to be joining me in the booth. And so I feel like I have to really do a good job.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, what kind of tips do you have for me as a first timer?
Cool.
Because I think I'm going to be, I don't know, I think I'm going to be more like the play-by-play and he's going to be the color. Like, what do you got for me to help make that a little easier?
Wow.
He's reflecting on his 40 years of comedy experience.
My 40 minutes of. Well, I mean, I assume you've watched a bunch of.
Oh yes, of course. That's right. And I've been trying to just sort of take it all in.
And he's always telling us what we're doing right and wrong. So I mean,
Yeah.
this isn't
Yeah.
hard
I
for-
mean, I've got a lifetime of that, so I mean that's very
Uh-huh.
helpful. Yeah, yeah. But was there anything when you did it yourself for the first time? Did you like
Yeah.
feel, oh, that I wasn't expecting this, or like this was harder than I thought it was, or
Well, I
anything
guess
like that?
one of the things you need to decide on is to what level are you going to analyze the players? Are you going to say that was a shitty play or not? That's one of the things Alex and I talked about, because like I didn't want to say, wow, that guy sucks, and then have him watch the movie and say, what's that guy up my ass for?
right. I'm never doing that again.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
so that's kind of a delicate thing that I was watching,
Yeah.
because I haven't actually watched a ton. I used to watch it when they first started it like 12 years ago. I watched it when Antonio and those, but I'm just not drawn to watching it poker. So I actually needed to go just hear what they said. But so what do you think you would do, Jim? I mean, are you going to like really critique somebody, or what's your plan?
Well, it's interesting because the people playing, I'm going to be, they're my coworkers and colleagues and friends here. So they both, I think we both have thick enough skin that I can give some real feedback, but it's also
Right.
kind of the rec poker way to be encouraging even when we're, offering like some constructive criticism. So I think
Yeah.
there's going to be a pretty easy line to balance, I think, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you going to know who the players are?
I'm going to know who the players are, but I'm not going to know like that. That's basically what I'm going to know. Yes.
Are you going to know
exactly.
anything about them?
I'm going to know a bit about them. I'm hoping that I can talk a little bit about their own, like their particular styles or strengths or weaknesses.
Well, I mean, even not. So this is because Zach's game was specifically designed to get business interest from business people and entrepreneurs. Part of our plan was each of those players sent us a little bio about themselves, and Alex and I weaved that in. But that was part of the design. That's what Zach wanted. But it made me think of like the sportscasters, right? Because they have a story for every single player.
Yes.
The second string guy gets an interception, runs it back for a touchdown. They can tell you
Right.
something.
Yes.
But that's their preparation. So maybe you could prepare something beyond their playing style that you could comment in the spirit of friendly cooperation or whatever.
Yeah, I think part of this, and we're doing a heads up bracket, so the action's a little bit quicker than when you get bored at a 9-handed table. But I do think, I think that's part of it too, because I think we want, we're sort of trying this out with our core team doing a heads up bracket, but we want to expand that. And so yeah, I think whatever we can do to have people go, man, I want to be part of that thing, and maybe that personal story is kind of part of that, because it's community building. You get known by doing that.
Right. It's like the you ever watch the British baking show?
My wife loves that show.
Everyone
That's what
keeps
I watch.
telling us to watch this. We have to watch this show.
That's what I watch instead of watching poker. No, I mean they do these little bios, but I'm so into movie making now. I just watch the editing and everything, and they're just like, bam, they just get you just get to know the person like in like 8 seconds. It's pretty impressive. So, but bios are a big part of bringing people in. I think a little bio.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's great. Thanks.
So you're hoping to do more of this kind of stuff. Nothing in there. Maybe we're gonna have to talk about this with Rec Poker at some point here when we start doing this. So we figured out how to do some editing so that we could play the matches just a little bit in advance, not have the commentators don't know what happened, but we did it so we can edit it so the cards are face up and that kind of thing. So it can really be a cool experience when we add the commentary on top of that. But maybe Jim, Tommy Angelo maybe needs to be in our future.
Yeah, I think we should tap him as a resource next time.
Yeah. So it's all heads up matches?
Yeah,
Yes,
we're
these ones are
doing
all
like
heads
it's a
up.
bracket, like a March Madness bracket,
Right.
just for the sake of time and trial. And people have said we want to do heads up, and we tell people all the time that's the part of the game that we rarely get to practice. As recreational players, especially if we get to the end, a lot of times live events, the $50 tournaments, everybody wants a chop, or you're 8 big blinds on average deep, and there's no play, and so the opportunity to actually practice some shorthanded play is something we want. We want to sort of run our people through, and we've had so many people say, "Well, how do I get in on that? I want to do that. That sounds like so much fun."
Yeah, I got a heads up story that's totally off the side here. This was happened a long time ago. So playing live in casinos, heads up didn't come up very often, right? It'd be late at night, down to 5 players, 4 players, 3 players. Now I was never a big fan of heads up. I love 3 or 4 handed, but I kind of need to have one other hand in there so that when I keep folding the blinds, the 2 of them can go to war.
small
You know,
blind to fold and not just.
Yeah,
yeah.
you're
They have
too you're too nitty for heads up, Tommy.
You're automatically
I know, I
looking at your hands.
So I'm playing this guy. We're playing one night, and it comes down to like 5 players, 4 players, 3 players, and it comes down to heads up. And I knew that the guy was like wanting to play heads up against me. Right? I was already like, somebody to beat or whatever. And he's like, let's play heads up. Let's say, we got to play at least an hour, but the loser can quit any time. Okay. No, he said, let's play at least an hour, and after that, the loser can quit anytime, or something like that, right?
Hand in.
And I said, how about if we just play, either one of us can quit at any time? And he's like, okay. I said, I quit. And went home.
Actually.
I used to be a little bit of a shit stirrer.
I was going to ask you about the commentary thing. It feels like, you prepared for all that stuff. It feels like the one real hurdle you had to overcome was developing a personality and being comfortable on video, right? That seemed like that's sort of the big hurdle you had to overcome.
No, actually, my real big hurdle was just following the action.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, this software they had was like not that, as sophisticated as some of them. And I was like, I've got my reading glasses on. I'm down here looking at this graph, trying to figure out whose bet it is and where the button is. They had this neat thing where it was like, as soon as it came down to heads up, it'd just go down to split screen, which was great, except the camera angle was exactly the same at both ends of the table. And so I couldn't tell if it was like the 3 seat or the 8 seat. And I ended up making a paper diagram with the circles with the people's name in it. And I had a little marker, and I was moving the button around on my piece of paper to try to keep track of what the button was. So that was what I was struggling with.
It's super fun. So I know we're almost out of time. These go by so fast, man, but they're so much fun. But I do have one question for me that if anybody else has any question, whether it's online or you guys from the panel, but this is a question I'm curious. I'm always interested to ask this question of people that are very eclectic like yourself, that feel like you've got a lot of interests. So let's just say, 3 weeks from Thursday, some random day in the future, you could do anything you wanted, right? Time wasn't an issue, money wasn't an issue, whatever. You could do anything you wanted. I'm curious, like, what you would choose. Like, would it be commentating, playing, coaching, writing, a jam session? Like what is like at this point in your life right now? Like, what would be your ideal day? Traveling? I don't know. What would be like an ideal day for Tommy Angelo?
This is okay. So I've been tweaking. I've had the ability and the means, and I've lived with my wife. We have this beautiful home here in Oakland. We've been here 7 years. She's working from home at a job she loves. It's like things have really come together over these last 5 or 7 years. The first 3 or 4 years here, I was working on Painless Poker. And we have continuously tweaked our health patterns, our social patterns, our food, our sleep, our reading time, going for walks. I mean, like every single detail. And so it's like, it's all set right now. It's like every day. I mean, I live in this constant state of gratitude because every day I basically do everything I want to do every day.
Wow. I love it.
I mean, every single day almost every day I go for a walk, play music, not absolutely every single day. Right. And the traveling we do, we used to do slightly more exotic vacations. Now we're perfectly happy just going to Hawaii for 4 days anytime the two of us want to get away.
Yeah, that's not exotic at all for somebody.
No, I mean, or drive somewhere in California, right? And then the other traveling we do is we go to visit her family or my family back east. And so it's like, it's all tweaked right now to perfection.
I love it. And it sounds like you're very intentional about getting it how you wanted it.
Yeah, that's how it got this way, and why it will continue to go that way is that our communication lines and everything are such that it's like we're willing to change anything or experiment with anything, and there you go.
Jim, let me just one quick. I know you got to jump in here, but so the biggest question I have though is if you're doing what you want to do every single day, why are you not on the Rec Poker podcast every single day? That's the biggest.
Well, you don't invite me.
Jim?
Danger. Yeah, no, I wanted to get at that, Tommy, because I think that's something that more people have control over than they think. Would be that sort of aspirational day, like the day where they have all the things in it that they would like to have. I think
Mhm.
most people think that like they'll just do the things that are important to them when they come up, but that's not the world. You actually have to make time for the things that you want to do. Sounds like
Mhm.
you've had some success with that. Can you just talk a little bit about what what allowed you to do that, or what steps you took to make it easier to both create that kind of aspirational schedule, but also to stick to it day in and day out? Or not, it's not like you're tied to it every day, but it's there
Yeah.
to
Well,
guide you.
it's a very easy one word answer, and you've heard this from me before, which is meditation. Okay. Before I started meditating in August of 2003, I was a typical full-time live pro degenerate, right? Terrible health, terrible habits, played poker all the time. I was very happy in that world, but I was already 45, and things were not going to be good eventually. Okay. And then once I started meditating, the meditating isn't what made all this stuff happen. What the meditating did was give me just that seed of discipline, just enough that I could then start to plant that seed in where I wanted it to be. If I wanted to learn banjo, I could learn the banjo, for example, or harmonica, right? So it all started with sitting still by myself every morning without skipping a day. But I haven't missed a day in 18 years. But it was especially that first year is when that was the very, very beginning. Because what happens is it gives me the control to not succumb to every single craving. I still succumb to the vast majority of them, but not all of them all the time. And, that was the beginning. And then you just add more and more time. And so, the reason I was able to write Elements of Poker, I never would have written a book in my whole life, guaranteed, if I hadn't started meditating. It was only 3 years after I started meditating did I have the discipline to okay, I'm going to quit poker. I'm going to write every day. That was a dream. That was a fantasy. Never could have happened. So for me, the spark of discipline was the daily sitting.
Chris Jones?
Yeah, we got a couple of questions from the chat. It's sort of related a bit. The first one comes from Kim and is wondering how have your life and travels changed during COVID? And the second one sort of related, but more poker related, and asking, do you have any recommendations for us when the poker rooms open back up? And that one's from Keith. So I'm wondering if how your life has changed with COVID, and what kind of recommendations you have for us as sort of poker becomes more of a thing and live again.
Well, because my wife and I both work at home, we're one of those people that didn't have that much change, really, no major change. Just not traveling. Now, that question about COVID, is that about what? About related to COVID itself, or do you think it was related to like how to play or what?
Yeah, I guess
Coming back to live
the
poker.
question then says what might be different from what would normally happen. So like, how do we approach if we haven't been in a live setting maybe for a year or whatever, and we're going back? I guess the question sort of related to like, anything that you think is going to be different in sort of the live world, both either play or just like the physical aspect of playing. Like, I'm sort of interpreting the question. I didn't ask it myself, but I guess that's what I think we're getting at here is like, what are your expectations for what might be different for us as we return to the game live?
I mean, I haven't thought about it all. Maybe there'll be some logistical differences left over from COVID protocols, maybe. But I really can't picture. I kind of picture it being like one of these things where once you go back, it's like all of a sudden that year just didn't matter, and nothing's changed. It's like it could be that. I don't know. I really can't. I mean, they're not going to be doing the plexiglass.
Yeah.
So
kind of like riding a bike, right? I mean, you're going to have to like just get back on the saddle there.
And I don't think as far as strategy or anything, I don't think there's anything because of the break that.
One of the things I've and maybe this is kind of what the question's getting at too, is do you think that players are going to be the same, better, worse, the player pool with that time off? Have people been
Yeah.
studying and getting, all this kind of like they've had this time, they're playing online? What are we going to see from the player pool? Are you expecting it to be sort of the same, better, or worse?
I think it'll be tougher. I absolutely think it'll be tougher. And I think the reason is not only are people, some people are going to be getting better through this period. And I have one client in particular who isn't playing online or live, but feels like she's gotten a lot better over the last year, just in her head. You can just tell, right? And so, but I really think the games are going to be tougher. And the reason is, and less populated, because let's say we look at the whole batch of players, especially lower stakes, and let's say we look at the 5% of the biggest losers, the 10% of the biggest losers. Some of those people aren't going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be like, well, I've reestablished my life without poker. The cravings are gone, because they were just feeding the cravings in the first place to a large extent, right? And they're just not going to come back. So I think we're more likely to lose bad players than we are to lose good players. How many doesn't matter, but that, to some extent, it's almost like shifting your at class percentage. That's going to make the games tougher. Right. Let's say like I played down at Oaks, and they got the 2-5 game, and there were a couple players that were the biggest donators. What if one of them doesn't come back? My hourly earn goes down $3 an hour. I mean, it's that simple, right? Or some number. So I think the games will be tougher for that reason.
Interesting. Well, good stuff. Yeah, I mean, and I know a few, really recreational players that now literally haven't played at all for a year. They maybe played a couple times a month because they could go to the casino for fun. Now they literally haven't played at all, and I don't know, if they'll ever come back or if they're just like, I just moved on to something else. So that's an interesting take.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the panel or from the folks that are online, Jim or John?
Yeah, Tommy, can you sort of work the network and see if we can get another great poker movie then? Because that's clearly what we need. You got to talk to some other entertainers, and let's get another great poker movie, and then we can get people back in the game.
Tommy should be
I got this. Huh?
You should be making the next rounders.
No, I got this has all been solved.
Oh, good.
Oh yeah. So you know who Brian Koppelman is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So Brian and I have no relationship until this exchange you're about to hear about. So I wrote to him by Twitter private message, and I said, hi Brian, my name's Tommy Angelo. I wrote this book called Painless Poker, and I think it would make a great movie, and I want you to make it. And I said to him, I'm only going to pitch this movie to one person, because there's only one person who made Rounders. That's how I feel about Rounders. Okay. And it's true. Okay. So Brian hasn't given me the call yet. I don't know what the hell he's doing, but when I get the call from Brian, then we're going to make Painless Poker.
Well, because that one has to be a movie. That one's got all the qualities you need. So let's make it happen, Tommy. Do you want me to call Brian and put in a good word?
Please. That's why I'm telling you this.
Yeah, okay.
Everybody ping Brian right away.
Get him on the
phone. I know you might have heard from Tommy Angelo, whoever that is, but I'm Jim Reed. John, did you have anything?
Well, I was just thinking, how we have quotes that we say from famous poker players, or just poker related, usually, sometimes just life related. Anyway, I want you to work on what you said earlier, getting that into a sound bite format. Something along the lines of, when asked what his perfect day would be, Tommy Angelo replied, tomorrow, or something along those lines. So, because I really would like to use that quote, but it was about a 5-paragraph answer, and that's just a little bit.
Would you like me to write a tweet version?
Yeah, tweet it. Tweet it.
40 characters or less.
Send us your tweets.
Yeah, we'll use it on next week's podcast.
That's right. That's a promise.
Write a short version of my perfect day.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. Yep. It can maybe become part of our intro.
Now, how did you phrase the question just now?
What would your perfect day be, or what is your perfect day?
What would your perfect day look like?
And you can change the question
I know.
For the answer.
Yeah.
I like your answer though, John, tomorrow.
Yeah.
I love that. That's awesome. Well, any other questions at all for the great Tommy Angelo? I don't hear any. Otherwise, Tommy, give us kind of your last words, man. Give us your what advice do you have for the Rec Poker Nation faithful, folks that are out there listening to this? They'll be watching this. I know you've dropped a ton of wisdom on us this episode and in the past, but what are sort of your parting words for the folks out there?
As far as strategy,
No,
parting
no,
words
whatever you
are
want,
no,
man.
no. I got two. My
This-
strategy
you can
parting
do
words.
two. We'll allow two,
Two.
but it can be
Hold the
poker
blinds.
related. Yeah,
Hold the blinds
hold the blinds.
and be good to each other.
Yes.
Can't beat that.
Listen to the man, people.
Can't
Listen
beat
to the
that.
man. He knows of what he speaks. Tommy, thank you so much. It is always a pleasure. Best to you and your wife and everything you have going on there. If there's ever anything that comes up that you want to let people know about, please let us know. We'll either have you on or we'll let people know. But TommyAngelo.com is a great way to connect with you. Any other best way to connect with you?
No, that's really it. Right on the homepage, it's all there. Just scrolling down.
Love it. Well, best wishes to you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you for playing us in today with harmonica as well. We may have to look at redoing our Rec Poker theme song just because of that. That was so much fun.
Okay, guys.
All right,
we'll
take care.
let you,
Thanks.
we'll let you drop off. We're going to do some community stuff here, but thanks again, man. So
All right.
much.
Okay, bye.
All right, guys. Well, there he goes. Tommy Angelo. Fantastic stuff. What do we got, guys? Let's break it down. What do we think, Jim?
I want to bring my kazoo now next time. I feel like I could really get my jam on there.
Yeah, that was legendary. That beginning of this was pretty legendary, I think. I mean, the whole interview was great, but boy, that was I think we've got a new theme song.
I know, it was so much fun too. And then he's got the background, right? He's got, okay, well, here's the here,
right.
I'll bring
Just
the
comes prepared.
Yeah, I would
John?
anything.
I've flirted with the harmonica a little. It's easy to make it sound bad or to do like to do like Camptown races. But,
I can make most instruments sound bad.
I can make air guitar.
I have a pretty good skill at that, actually.
John, what were you going to say?
Well, I was just, I flirted with the harmonica too back in college, and then it said to me, "No, I just want to be friends."
Yeah,
and that was kind of the end of that. Nice. Yeah.
Keith's parents took away his electric guitar. I tried to take up drums at one point after I was married. Not a good idea. That's
I had
time to try to take up drums.
I had a little turn at the drums too. That it takes a very generous house to introduce a drum kit.
Yeah. Your mic has started cutting out a little bit, Jim, just FYI. So just watch that deal. But yeah, so good stuff. Tommy, fantastic dude, fantastic human being, very inspiring guy. I like that he thinks he just goes to less exotic locations like Hawaii. Like, okay, I'm in Minnesota. Like, I mean, Nebraska is exotic. So I mean, well, let's jump into the community stuff. I know we went a little bit long with Tommy. Great stuff though, but Jim,
should we let Jonathan out of the dungeon and see if he has anything to say for us today?
I was wondering what that knocking was.
All right, here he comes.
Have you ever wondered whether you should call a preflop raise or 3-bet instead? What do you do when you have a flush draw? Do you raise it or do you just call? What do you do with ace king when you miss the flop? Are you tired of guessing about what the right play is with your particular hand? Well, my name is Jonathan Little, and I am a 2-time World Poker Tour champion and creator of PokerCoaching.com, where we offer over 1,000 interactive hand quizzes where you play a hand and then get real-time feedback from our world-class pros. Don't guess and don't stress. Just register for your free account at PokerCoaching.com/recpoker right now.
All right. Well, thanks, Jonathan Little. Fantastic stuff. He sounds very consistent every time we have him on there, but a great friend of the show. Great stuff. Check it out. If you want to do us a solid and you're going to sign up for PokerCoaching.com, do it through rec.poker. People are asking, how can we support you? Premium membership is great, but if you are signing up for some of these other things anyway, sign up through us if you don't mind. We get a little bit of a kickback, and it helps keep all these folks. We can double John's salary if we can get your support. But no, think about that. But thanks to Jonathan. So let's community stuff. As always, why don't we start with our home games? I have a little bit of a vested interest in starting with our home games. So everybody be really quiet.
Yeah, let's not interrupt John for this one.
John,
actually, did you lose this? Yeah, I think
I wasn't able to gather the stats.
Yeah, no, actually, I thought we had a whole database meltdown here, and it's just it's gone, right? It's all
Yeah,
gone.
so
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
have everything except for what happened on Wednesday. I have no record of
Yeah,
that.
So
that's a
weird.
real shame. There was like a fire in the Poker Stars
Yeah.
database.
Oh, what a
room.
pity.
Yeah.
So I really don't know who
Yeah,
won.
I don't-
Dude, that sucks. So that's
Who
gonna
knows? Whoever it was, congratulations. You're
Wait a minute. Let me
you're
see
in
here.
our
I'm going to see if I
hearts,
can do a
but not in our
restore.
memories.
Yeah, it's too
Oh.
bad because it's an important tournament too. So.
It
Yeah,
is.
that's too bad.
It is.
This
It
is
is.
hot news. I was
Uh-oh.
just able to recover the backups.
Oh,
I got in and I decrypted them,
Oh.
and now they are available again.
oh my
Uh-oh.
gosh. Let's
According
see.
to this, on March 3rd for our No Limit Hold'em Championship Series, nonetheless, we had Rec Poker Steve
Oh my
Friendland,
God.
won his very first No Limit Hold'em Series championship event.
Yeah,
Wow,
I
are you
really
sure
wanted one of those
that's-
monthlies? I wanted the monthly really bad.
Congrats, Steve. Congrats.
Well, you know, this might have an asterisk next to it because I did have to do the record or the restore
Yeah.
of the backups.
Yeah.
And maybe some of the
Can
data
you
got
really trust
corrupted.
those?
Yeah, I mean
Just,
that
you
feels
know,
like we should be really sure about this one. I think, John.
I
'cause-
know a
and-
guy that got into the system.
For our listeners, just to be clear, this is in the monthly championship series. So
Yep.
Steve has actually, by winning this on the first Wednesday of every month, he's punched his ticket to the annual Player of the Year championship in December. So that's pretty exciting.
And I'm super excited because I missed out last year. Like I feel like I'm, play bad or run bad those Wednesday nights, whatever. I didn't get into that top, I didn't win one and I didn't get into one of the alternates. And I was kind of bitter about not getting in there. So now I don't have to worry about that. I can rest
That's
easy.
nice. That's
I'm in
nice.
the year-end tournament.
You know, it was really strange because I was thinking to myself, these games, the games that we have had are getting incredibly tough.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, wow, these are just some really good games. We're getting rock stars winning every single week. But I guess this is the exception that proves the rule.
John's like, well, maybe not. And thank you, John.
You're
Well,
welcome.
And I don't want to belabor it too much. I'm very excited about the win, but you know who I beat heads up? Grandpa George. A lot of you guys know him. He was like 4 days removed from quadruple bypass surgery. I don't think he'll mind me saying that. Unbelievable. And he said like the first break, he like fell asleep and he was so tired. He had just gotten home. And part of me is like, I want him to win this so bad. I mean, I'm going to play hard at him, but then part of me is like, I don't want to lose to this guy. So he made a deep run, heads up. We got it heads up, and so
that's great.
So-
Grandpa George, one of my favorite people in the whole poker world. So
Yeah.
still healing wishes to him, and glad he made a run at you.
I guess
fantastic.
that does mean technically there is an asterisk since you were playing against someone in a drug-addled state after immediate surgery.
That's right.
There is
Yeah.
That's a good point. Good point.
And that kind of reiterates your point, John, about how hard are these tournaments. I won and George got second.
But what I
How
really
hard
want
are
to
these
know
tournaments?
is, did you beat him with Ace King?
No, I know. I really wanted to.
Oh.
Or I wanted him to have Ace King and me to beat him with like Ace Queen or something. But
Well, and I'm coming around to Grandpa George on this one, and at least in that monthly tournament, I have been knocked out all 3 monthly tournaments. This Ace King versus Aces,
against Aces?
Yeah.
Oh,
just
Wow.
boom, boom, boom. I'm out. I'm out. Like I'm the first one out every time. boom, boom, boom.
he hates Ace King. Like,
Well,
Yeah, he
I've
really
never
does.
I've never met George, but even I know he hates Ace King.
Yeah, he's.
so
It's,
Yeah.
it's just he introduces himself. He just shakes your hand. He's like, "I'm George, and I hate Ace King."
well,
As a matter of
we're
fact,
all-
I thought that he had a really long first name.
Yeah.
At first. I thought it was, hi, I'm George. I hate it first Ace King. I thought that was a really weird name, but
but no, he is the real deal. If you know him, you've never been the same. He's a good, great guy. So anyway, but yeah, thank you. Very happy with that.
okay. So let's go on to the rest of the people who didn't have asterisks next to them. March 1st, PCS 2005, Jack LaRue.
Jack.
I
won his
wanted to-
very first standard tournament.
And I won't stop you every time, but Jack has been knocking on the door so
Oh,
many
this
times.
is great.
And I don't think this is his first like win of any kind in the home game, I think. And he's a good player and he's been knocking on the door. And I know he's been like, oh, so anyway, very excited to see Jack come through with one.
Way to go, Jack.
And second, a new player that I've never announced before, Magra44, Doug Drabeck, got his second of the year
We-
standard daily win.
Doug's been in the Free Chat and Learning Together package, the course that we're running here, and it's been so fun talking to him about these wins because he keeps talking about like, yeah, I just got lucky and won another tournament. I don't know why these other guys aren't winning. I'm so bad at poker. It's like, Doug, you're a killer, man. Just own it. It's amazing to watch him keep racking up these wins.
Yeah. But because he's not prideful in it, he's learning. Like that's, I think, what gets in the way with so many people, not necessarily poker, but in life. Like as soon as you think you've arrived, you stop learning.
Yeah.
But Doug kind of credits being lucky, and then he just keeps on learning and learning and learning and getting it better and better and better. So it's a testament to his discipline there.
And didn't you just say you weren't going to interrupt me every time?
It's aspirational.
It's
aspirational. It's like Tommy Angelo's daily schedule, right? We just hope it's something we hope for.
All right, then we had John Lancer, who's John Vensky in real life, got his first daily series victory of the year. E. Anderson, 85, Eric Anderson.
Eric!
Not the Eric Anderson that was on the MSPT poker tour, just so everyone knows that.
A different Eric
accidentally
Anderson.
tagged on Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Eric Anderson. He got his first victory of the year.
I think this is the Eric Anderson that emailed me a cool Poker Tracker 4 filter. So I can't wait to talk to him offline about that. Thanks, Eric. Appreciate that.
And then March 6th, we had Flying Bricks. Sarah Hansen won her fourth, not first.
No, she's a killer.
Fourth daily standard victory of the year. Roadstar 33, Randy Smith won his first mixed daily series of the year. Did I miss something there?
No. Steve was he's been chasing that pin for a while. There's been a lot of second and third places for Steve lately. I think he's having a little PTSD flashbacks to some of these other tournaments.
Then none other than Fergie 56, Kim Kilroy, got her first international series victory of the year.
Kim.
Stewie 13, Stuart Kendridge, he won the other international tournament this week.
Back-to-back Canadians. Go team, both in the chat tonight. Awesome, guys.
And then Eric Molina, Rob Brereton won the inaugural Learn Pro Poker Daily Series victory for Learn Pro Poker Sunday, LPP Sundays.
Nice. And so Rob he actually won a free month at Learn Pro Poker, I think. So he's going to have to check the results post to find out how he can claim his prize with Learn Pro Poker.
Yeah, and I think he is a member out at LPP, so I think they'll figure something out with that deal. So, so for future reference, what should people do that the win? So Sunday nights, the winner is going to get a prize, and then when Ryan LaPlante is able to play, he will also play, and there'll be a prize for whoever knocks him out. So what should people do if they win that prize for future reference?
So all they have to do, if you win the Sunday tournament, or if you're the lucky player that takes out Ryan LaPlante, you just have to email kl@learnpropoker.com. That's KL Cleaton, who helps Ryan out with a lot of that stuff. So if you win the tournament on Sunday or you take Ryan out, just email kl@learnpropoker.com and they'll set you up with a free month to try at LPP. Or if you're already a member, I believe they'll just credit you a month. They've got some great programs.
They'll do something for you.
They'll do something cool for you. Talk to KL. He'll take care of you.
Yep. Well, thank you, John. Amazing stuff as always. Sorry for the interruptions, but
kind of
amazing stuff, man. And I do love having the two Canadians win the two international ones. Let's keep that international flavor going. Let's keep that rolling. That's pretty fun.
Nice.
Well, I was surprised that it's it's the first week in a while where Doug Drabeck hasn't won an international series tournament. Of course, he did have a different tournament to win instead. So
right.
Yeah, he met his quota early.
Yeah.
And I will say it's nice to see some Canadians representing because Saturday is kind of turning into Rec Poker Canada Saturday. In our Saturday study groups, we've had a lot of Canadians in those and killing it on the international series. And I think we actually had a Canadian majority in the chat tonight here as well. So I'm just saying, Yankees, time to start manning the battle stations. I want to see more Americans in these sessions because otherwise we're just going to call this rec.poker.ca.
Hey, and so I know we don't have a an official Binks thing right now because we were kind of waiting for the live poker to get back in. But there's a ton of railing going on in Discord. If you like kind of railing people in ACR and that sort of stuff, get out on Discord and rail people. Let me know if there's other big ones. But you guys, Taylor Moss, the Taylor Moss, guy who's just a beast. He's part of the core team. Big win Sunday. It was a day 2 of a $22 ACR. What it has a name, I don't know, Chris will remember the name of it, but it like $22 tournament, PKO. I don't know how many people entered the thing. He binks the thing, and a bunch of us were railing him, watching him live. Super fun. He wins the thing. I think between bounties and the prize, he ended up with like $6,000,
Yep.
something like that on a $22 buy-in, and it was so much fun. So Bink, shout out, Jinch, Taylor Moss.
Yeah, it was really fun to watch him, and yeah, that's a big tournament. It has multi flights, all like I think there's 5 or 6 flights that feed into the Sunday, so it's a huge field. He showed up Sunday as the chip leader, and wire to wire he won it, which is very impressive.
That guy's a killer. He's a killer.
I still think I don't know who it's going to be, but if I had to pick one, it would be Moss as far as the first Rec Poker Nation member to win a bracelet. I think it could be a number of you guys, but he's the real deal. And
Yeah, smart.
Stays in those spots. I've seen him live, playing big spots live. Jonesy's the same way. I've seen you play in big spots live too. It just feels like unflappable. Like I'm way more nervous railing people than you guys are playing. But, it's gonna happen. But congrats, Taylor.
And on that note about Taylor, he's really owning this Marek Madness project that Rec Poker Nation's doing, and he is killing it. The technical world is throwing everything at him that they can, and he and Ben were killing it last week. I'm looking forward to seeing it this week. On March 18th, I'll be in the booth myself, joined by the one and only Kim Kilroy here, PetFed, who's joining us in the chat. So I'm looking forward to that. And I will remind everyone on the 25th, it'll be Ryan LaPlante and I talking about the championship match that goes on that night, which is a best 2 out of 3. So it's free for everybody, Twitch TV/poker on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Come and check out the action and give me a hard time in the chat. I don't mind.
Yeah, and as we're recording this, we've had the first 2 matches out of the 4 first round matches. So by the time you're listening to this, the full first round will have been completed. But who won the first 2 matchups? So who remembers what were the 2 matchups for the first round, and who were the victors in that thing?
So I played Chad McVean in one, and I did end up winning that one. And then John and Rob battled out in the nightcap, and Mr. Rob Washam, Radman 50, ended up winning that one.
So Radman 50 against 5x5 in round 2. Nice. All right, and then the other half of the bracket will be completed.
Yep. So next, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, Jim, you've got some big shoes to fill. Taylor and Ben did an excellent job commentating. So
they really did.
It's going to be a tough act to follow.
I completely agree. That's why I called my buddy Tommy Angelo and said, "Hey, Tommy, give me the down low. I need some tips here, stat."
So maybe Jim just has to be quiet and let Kim talk. Maybe that's just kind of what has to happen.
Jim being quiet? Have you read my brief?
Right, exactly. Let's make Kim a co-host so she can mute you.
Yeah, now we're talking. Talking.
Super fun. Great idea. Great concept. Taylor just ran with it. Really, really, really fun stuff.
Yeah, so awesome.
All right. So what else we got to talk about, guys? So Learn Pro Poker. That thing's running now. I know we're going to have a study session coming up. The first of the month, we release a video that's Learn Pro Poker extended premium content. And then we have a study group that you guys can watch. The premium members can watch that, join that. Learn Pro Poker folks can join that. Jim, what's the date on the study group?
That study group is going to be on Saturday, March 27th. And it's one of several new study groups that we're starting to kind of augment the learning program that we're putting on here. So every month, as Steve's saying, on the first day of the month, we're going to release this Learn Pro Poker video that's behind their paywall. This is a premium strategic training video that they're going to allow us to share with our premium members. But we also, at the beginning of the month, released Chris Jones's Rec Poker Seminar. And so each of those longer videos are going to have a supplemental study group on a Saturday later in the month, where you can join me and some of our other premium members to kind of dig through some of that material and answer each other's questions and work through it together. We also have a study group around the Focus, which is an independent study program that Chris also runs, where mostly it's about giving the members assignments to work through on their own to help them understand range building or using tools, that kind of thing. So we've got a study group for that. And the fourth monthly study group, these are all on Saturdays between 12 and 1 Central or 1 and 2 Eastern, is actually Jim's Poker Tracker review group. And every month, I'm going to be taking hands or tournaments from premium members, loading them up in my own Poker Tracker database, looking at them with my own filters and HUDs, and seeing if we can find out some interesting insights about those things in Poker Tracker, or we'll just be talking about Poker Tracker and how to get the most out of it. So if you're at all interested in that, HUDs, Poker Tracker, stats, exploiting opponents, join me on one of these Saturdays. And to do that, all you have to do is go to rec.poker. And on the left, you'll see forums and groups. Just go to the groups page and just join all the groups that look interesting to you. As soon as you join a group, you'll be able to access their forum, all the PDFs and documents that we share, links to all the events, that kind of stuff. And if you have any questions, just email me, jim@rec.poker.
Amazing, amazing. Let's see what else there is to talk about. Real quick, home games thing. I know we're picking up new listeners, because I know now with Learn Pro Poker's partnership, more people are jumping in here. Maybe they're listening to the podcast. If you're just tuning in for the podcast, it's sort of a new thing for you. Jump in our home games. It's absolutely free to play, but you do have to have a free membership at rec.poker. All the instructions are there, but I know almost every day I'm helping somebody kind of walk through that process. But reach out if you have any questions. But basically, you need a free membership. You need to put your PokerStars alias in your profile. And then you need to jump in and apply to the home game club that we have. And all that is at rec.poker/home game. But basically, if you do those things, the magic of John Somsky will get you into the club and you can start playing. So reach out if you have any questions. That's perfectly fine. I don't mind that at all. But that's what you do have to do. So don't get a hold of me at 8:30 when the registration closes at 8:40. That's going to be too late. At 8 o'clock, I might still be able to make it happen for you. Okay, so
yeah, I'd suggest if you sign up like the day before you want to play,
yeah,
that'll give, because I have a lot of this automated, and it takes an hour for it to download all of the information into our spreadsheets that we use to validate the user membership. So the sooner you do it, the better.
Yep, agreed. Thank you, John. That's not poker players' normal strength, is doing things in advance. So buck the system, do it in advance, figure out what you want to play, and get it done. All right, so that's cool. What else do we got to talk about, you guys? What else? The study book, we already talked about that. That's going to be starting March 17th, which is this Wednesday when you're listening to it. Jim?
But don't worry if you haven't done any reading, because the first one, we really just talk about how we're going to unpack it, what to have prepared for the first session. And the first real session you should have reading done for, I believe, is the 7th of April. So it gives you plenty of time to do the reading, get the book. We've also got a Twitter contest right now where you can win a copy of Modern Poker Theory. So I encourage everyone to go to @RecPoker and see if you can still.
Yeah, if you're a premium member, you can be part of those things, and they're all recorded. So if you miss one, or if you want to rewatch one, or if you want to watch any of the prior book studies, it's all there as part of our video archive. So membership is becoming more and more valuable every month that goes by. Not to mention, I mean, we sort of quick gloss over the seminars Chris does. Those are fantastic. Like, those are very, very good information with very studyable. So man, just a ton of stuff. And I think, some people say, well, man, we can't possibly watch it all that you guys put out. You don't have to. That's the beauty. That's why we do it, because you can do what you, according to your learning style. If you like the book studies, if you like the seminar, if you like to just sort of engage in the conversations, there's a lot of options. So don't be overwhelmed by it. Be excited that you're coming to the buffet, and you get to choose if you want chicken, steak, potatoes, or vegetables, right? Or pancakes. I mean, it's all there. You can choose whatever you want. So it's a buffet, baby. Take what you want, leave the rest. Use the code RecPoker, get $10 off your first month. sign up. It's $15, get $10 off, $5, do it for a month. You don't like it, cancel. Watch as many videos as you can with your $5 and call it good. But it should give you a good flavor for what we're doing and how we do it. Anything else, guys, that we need to touch base on? That's a lot. I know
That's a lot. We killed it.
We talked about half the stuff that we have going on. All right. So let's anything there in the chat? I don't see anything there. All right. So we'll sign out there, but go to check out rec.poker, sign up for the newsletters. Tommy Angelo, thank you. Fantastic stuff. Thanks to our panel, Jim Reed, Chris Jones, John Somsky, Tim Steely. You guys were out there. There's a couple others that were out there from time to time. Thanks for running Aces, Racetrack Casino and Hotel, website, and this is Tommy Angelo.